Hi, it's so I know it's like 1 in the morning right now, and yeah, but I wanted to say hi, and I wanted to talk about burnout because I'm slightly burning out, or at least fluctuating, I guess, in burnout. Um, I want to move this because that's distracting. So, I'm still getting used to this. Hi. Um, so I'm tired. Uh, I'm trying to remember what I was gonna say because, like, I had all of this planned out in my head. Hi. I had all this planned out in my head and then it went away, which is part of actually what I'm gonna talk about because I have some memory issues. Um, so, autistic burnout is basically where, basically from masking and also like doing life and a lot of things and taking in sensory stuff, at some point it becomes too much. And um, burnout's basically what it sounds like. It's like you can't even anymore. You can't like process anything as well. You might find it harder to talk, and um, for me, I find it harder to remember things and to process things, and to even like sit down and watch a movie is hard sometimes because of the information processing starts failing. I find it hard to do basic stuff like doing the dishes and all that. I always have a hard time with dishes either way, but it's like when I'm in burnout mode, they're never gonna get done, never. Um, and hi, cool. Hi, Captain Mason. I'm pretty good. I'm just kind of tired. Well, I was, but I think I switched. So I have alters, and this is also part of my conversation on burnout and stuff. Is I titled this "Burnout and My Alters," because I noticed that like my I've been getting overwhelmed just looking at my schedule and having too much going on at once, and then having extra stuff piled on me at the same time, and I'm like, I can't do anymore, and yet I'm trying to like push through it anyway. Oh, thanks. They got little. I actually probably should take them off because they got a lot of glare right now. Hold on a second. I'm gonna just set this down. There we go. Because there's a lot of glare on this. Um, I can actually see better too. Um, they help when I'm overloaded. Oh, here we go. These are tinted. Oh, you could probably see the you could probably see the reflection of the phone on them. They are definitely not anti-glare. So I do a lot of things to prevent burnout, like wearing these things. I don't need it right now because the light in here is very dim. I will it's hard to describe all the things I do to prevent burnout because it encapsulates all of my life. And like, for instance, I have a specific system for doing dishes. Like I do them in bulk. That helps prevent my burnout. I would rather not have to wash a few dishes every day. I would rather do all of them after like a week of them sitting in the sink. Um, what are some other things that I do? I like I have like a bunch of frozen meals and hot pockets and stuff. Cooking takes a lot out of me. That's another thing. Um, you guys trying to keep up with your comments. I haven't live streamed for a while in here, so do you love having glasses and you hate eye contacts? I've never worn eye contacts, and I don't know if I should at all. So I wanted to talk about alters. Try not to swear. Okay, I'm pretty sure I know who's fronting right now, and it's Aiden, kind of mixed with someone else. But um, I'm not the most articulate one. I'm borrowing words from the others in my headspace right now. So, um, what gets really messy is when I get burnout. I not only have sort of some issues that could be associated with being autistic, like um, not perceiving things as clearly, sensory overload, information overload. Also, if it looks like I'm taking a while to think, I literally am borrowing words from my other alters in my head because I'm not very good at talking. So, uh, so sensory information overload. What else? Like I have a hard time already with taking in verbal, like basically listening to verbal stuff. When someone's talking to me verbally, I have a hard time processing it all the time. Depends on what it is. If it's something I'm interested in, it's easier. Um, it really depends on what it is. At some point, my brain's kind of like a sponge sometimes, as in it's full of holes. It sounds kind of like a weird statement, but my brain is like full of holes. My perception is full of holes. Whenever people are talking to me, I might drop at least a third of whatever they say. Luckily, my brain latches on to whatever the main points were for the most part, and if it doesn't, I'll ask them to clarify. Um, what else? So that happens, and I find it hard to like visually process stuff. I was on my computer earlier today. I was supposed to be putting together a logo kind of thing, and we were what were we doing? We were looking at like pictures of trees because we wanted a tree to be in the logo, but it had to be a very specific tree, and no other tree would do. But we had to try to find the right tree, but we also had to find a picture that was not copyrighted because we were going to try to draw the tree, but we're like, nope, we can't draw, we can't do it, we're just not functioning. So we're like, we're just going to find a free image. We couldn't find it, and we got overwhelmed. And so what we did is we just laid down on the bed and we slept for 3 hours. Like that wore us out, and that's a pretty good sign that I'm very burned out. Um, so it affects me with like my perception and stuff, but also like memory. Like sometimes I forget what day it is, and I have to look at my calendar and be like, oh, that's what day it is. Sometimes I know what day it is, but it doesn't feel like it should be that day because it feels like all of that whole month disappeared. Um, and am I missing anybody's comments? Just making sure. Nope. So, oops. What else? I'm trying to. My train of thought keeps going away. I also like. I have memory issues. This part of that's probably ADHD, and I don't know if that's an autistic thing. I know it's an ADHD thing, but it's also I think me being multiple, and like I basically my awareness and memory is split up into chunks, and each of those chunks are my alters, and I am one of them. Hello, my name's Aiden, um, and it's not like the sort of classic example of DID where you have complete memory blackouts between them. We do forget stuff, and sometimes my other alters will have to remind me in my headspace, and but for the most part, we'll like we'll share memories, and we won't really get as many like blackouts as much as just feeling like, oh my gosh, a week has passed, where did it go? And then I have to look at my calendar and be like, oh, okay, now I remember doing those things. um, Sometimes I have to like check with my alters, like they have to like jog my memory, and then I'll remember whatever happened. But it's still kind of unnerving because it feels like time passes so quickly, and I know that whenever I know I'm getting burned out when I start to feel like time is just flying really really fast. um yeah, so I feel like time just flies whenever I'm burned out. Like a whole day could go by and I would have just slept the whole day, or would have just like dissociated, or like I dissociated a lot today. Right before I laid down to sleep for 3 hours, I felt like I was out of my body, and like I felt like my arm was not where it was supposed to be, and I felt like I felt like I was on LSD. Like, I'm like, I don't want this. It was like really uncomfortable LSD, mind you. Not the fun LSD. Not that I've tried that before, but I probably shouldn't because of my dissociation and stuff. Um, so there's that. And also, me having alters, one issue is like not knowing who's fronting. I have like the legit experience of not knowing who I am sometimes. It's like it doesn't always bug me because it's like not everybody has to think about who they are all the time. But with me, sometimes it helps for me to explain some of my experiences. Like if I'm feeling really angry and agitated and like kind of like how do I put it? It's this very specific angry and agitated. It's like I'm angry, I'm irritated, I'm like, but I also like I'm not thinking very much. Like there's not a lot of words in my brain. Are we back? Sorry. My alarm went off and it screwed everything up. Um, so, so like if I'm angry and irritated and specifically do not have any words in my brain or the ability to discern like where my emotions are coming from, I usually know that's me as an Aiden, because that's how I experience agitation, as opposed to like Alyssa. When she experiences agitation, she'll be really anxious and overthinking things, and she doesn't get angry quite as much as I do, but she mostly she just gets kind of anxious and overloads herself with all of the thoughts. I don't have a lot of the thoughts, thankfully, so when we switch to me, I'm just like just this nice empty brain. But then it gets frustrating because then I can't be as self aware as Alyssa is, and I don't know how to analyze my feelings, and frankly don't want to, and um, and I end up just kind of like not knowing how to deal with emotions. So, um, yeah, that's fun. Okay, I'm trying to remember why we started this video because I think January had a whole bunch to say, and she's not even here, and I'm annoyed. I'm like, come back. You're really good at talking. I'm not. Um, trying to remember. Oh, I think I got a message from someone. Mason says, or Captain Mason, I get so angry and I get overwhelmed and I can't communicate for the life of me. I get what you're saying. I got diagnosed with Asperger's back in 2018. You're making perfect sense to me. Cool. So you're recently diagnosed. How old are you? Yeah. So what's really frustrating is with burnout is not being able to really. I keep doing that. Just turned 30. Wow. So you're diagnosed at 28. I'm 28. That's crazy. That's late. Hi. Gotta try to say your name right. I'm sorry. Keishana, right? Hi. This is Aiden. One of my alters or whatever. So, I'm trying to remember some of the stuff that we had planned out in my head of what to say. Cause January is someone who's another one of my alters who's really good at coming up with things like really eloquent wording, and she'll have whole TED Talks in the shower, and she'll write down a lot of blog posts and then not finish them because usually someone else will switch, and then she gets annoyed by the time she's back and she's like, I was in the middle of that, now I don't want to finish, thanks for that. You've been sick but feeling better. Oh, I'm glad you're feeling better, that's good. The topic is burnout, and also specifically my experience with burnout while having alters, because I have alters, which if you don't know are dissociative states, different states of awareness that have different personalities. It's kind of would have previously been called multiple personalities or multiple personality disorder, but it's now just dissociative identity disorder. So we're talking about how burnout kind of just affects everything. Like, how it affects me from an autistic standpoint, how it affects me from an ADHD standpoint, how it affects me from a multiple standpoint, which is, multiple states or whatever. So, like, a handy thing about having alters for me and dissociating is, so most people, when they're either burned out, or if they're, sorry, I lost my train of thought. Most people, when they're burned out, or when they're at their limit, or if they're in a meltdown even, most people have, basically they have limits. And I do too. However, in some cases, switching can override some of those limits. Like earlier, I was so tired I could barely talk. And then I switched to Aiden, and I'm like, I feel fine. I'm not tired anymore. So it felt strange for me to say, oh, I'm tired, when someone asked me how I was doing. It was like, no, that was the experience of one of my other alters in my headspace. One of my other alters is tired, and now it's affecting my speech. Stop it. But sometimes I can dissociate, and I can, kind of work through the burnout. Like, if I really need to do something, or I really want to do something, like right now, I want to live stream on my Twitch, which I'm going to after this, if you want to watch. I'm going to be playing Pirates Online. Woohoo! If I really want to do something, I can kind of override the burnout. And this isn't something I do on purpose. Like, it usually just happens by accident. A lot of this is involuntary. I'll switch to someone else, one of my other alters, and they'll handle the thing. The only problem is my body does have limits. So it's sort of like a selective superpower that happens at random, but has some consequences. Like, it might make me more tired in the long run, so I tend to not act on it. So it's like, oh, I feel fine right now, but I already know my system is burned out, so I shouldn't do too much, even though, dang it, I really want to. So the best I'm gonna do tonight is play some video games on Twitch for maybe a half hour, and then go to sleep, because it's probably all the body can handle at the moment. Cool. Alters are fun. Cool. So, I feel a need to, again, I guess, define, what an alter is, in the sense of, what my alters are. Because sometimes people might use the word alter for, okay, I have an alter ego, or I have, or I have, I have a different personality in this group of people versus, this group of people. Alter for me, my alters are, specifically a dissociative state, or a different state of awareness. Like, my whole experience changes, my personality changes, the way I talk changes. I have different food preferences. And this, the level of variation kind of depends on the people too. There's some people who have alters that are very similar to each other. But what makes them an alter specifically is just being a dissociative state, something that, your brain, switches to, and I don't know how to describe it. I almost, feel like I have to Google it so I can describe it perfectly. January's not here. Dang it, January. I'm trying not to swear. I'm sorry. I'm gonna look up alter DID definition. See, I'm not the one who researches this stuff. I hate that, because then I do videos and I'm like, I don't know what I'm talking about. A person with DID has two or more different and distinct personalities. The person's usual or core personality, or what are known as alternate personalities. I don't like the core personality idea, honestly. We do not have a core. The person may experience amnesia when an alter takes over control over the person's behavior. Let me actually find an actual definition, because I'm going to look up. I'm going to throw in the word plural, because plural is another term we use sometimes, and that kind of narrows my search. That's not helping me. Oh, you guys sent me more. I can't curse. I'm not allowed to on YouTube. I curse a lot on my Twitch. If you want to see me swearing on Twitch, you can go to my Twitch and follow me on there. It's free. DIDresearch.com is, I think, a good one. Or .com, .org. Org. Ooh, I don't like these. I don't like these really rigid, hello, sorry. My alarm went off again. I have alarms that go off like every 10 to 20 minutes. So when I look up alters, I get these different categories, which I personally don't like all that much, like protector, persecutor, introject, memory holder, gatekeeper. They're useful. Like Alyssa identifies as a gatekeeper in our system, but overall, gatekeeper meaning she kind of has some level of control over the switching. Like if she wants to, she can take over again, but she lets us out. But like I said, it's not always voluntary, so sometimes we push our way to the front, no matter how hard she tries. I am trying to find alters. Here it is. An alter is a dissociated self-state that may be associated with either a dissociative identity disorder, which is DID, or otherwise specified dissociative disorder type, subtype 1, OSDD1. Okay. In cases of DID, most, if not all, alters can take recurrent executive control of the body in which they reside. Alters each have their own perception of self as a unique individual or entity and do not view themselves as only an aspect of a complete person. It sounds about right. Externally, alters can display different degrees of emotional expressiveness, behave in different ways, have different skills and abilities related to sensory motor functioning. They have different thoughts, perceptions, and memories relating to themselves and the world around them. They may perceive themselves as having an age, gender, sexuality, appearance, source, or even species that may not match the system's actual body. And they may or may not be aware of these discrepancies. Some alters may see what they expect to see when they look in the mirrors and are highly distressed to realize that the body they are does not match their internal perception of how they should look. So my name is Aiden. I'm male. I'm straight. I have blonde hair. So I'm actually digging the hair that we have right now, even though we need to get it re-dyed. It's growing out. I don't mind looking feminine, because then I just kind of look like a pretty boy, I guess. That's fun. I swear a lot more than the other alters. My voice is usually also a little bit lower and sounds different. It has its own kind of weird thing. Usually people who know me well can tell when I'm out just by my voice. Oh, here's another one. Often, alters have their own wants, needs, desires, and opinions. They may have psychological disorders and physiological reactions that are unique to them, or experience the body's psychological and physiological disorders in different ways or to different degrees than other alters do in the same body. I would also say that, like, in general, I feel like a lot of us feel physically different. So, like, I feel physically stronger than the other alters, but downside of that, it's kind of like that whole selective superpower with downsides. If I were to try to push the body too much, it'll hurt. So, like, if I try to lift a bunch of heavy boxes, like, I can do it, versus, like, the littles in the system can't really do that as much. They're kind of a little more feeble and weak, I guess, because they're, like, kids. But, like, me, I I can exercise for a long time. I can I have random urges to just run on the treadmill and go for runs, and I'm just like, got all this energy. But then like Alyssa comes out, and all that energy that I would be using is instead going into her brain and into thoughts and overthinking. So energy just affects us all differently. Anyway, that's all I wanted to talk about. So I'm gonna end the stream here. Let me see if there's any more comments that I missed from you guys. Oh yeah, cool. Great that you curse in your videos. Anyway, that's where I'm gonna leave off. I'm gonna go to my Twitch now, and I'm going to live stream on there. I'm gonna play Pirates Online. If you want to watch, my Twitch is Lucia Gaming. Lucia is spelled the same way on there as it is on here, Lushia. So just search for Lucia Gaming, hit the follow button, and I will go live in like literally a few minutes. But yeah, see ya. Bye.